Hi, today we're going to talk about using a martingale or a training fork and why you would use one and on what type of horses you would use one. Today we've got Blue. He's a nice quarter horse, a beautiful bay roan with that beautiful ginger face. And he's a nice horse. He's here to be retuned. He's having a little problem keeping himself together and rounded. And we've been riding him now for 3 or 4 weeks, and we're still struggling a little bit with that. So we're just going to add a very simple aid, which is the training fork. And so I'm going to try to get a close-up here of the training fork. And Luann will show you, it's very important that you not get these too short, that they come up to the neck, to the throat latch, or almost to the throat latch. And she's going to slip this through the reins. This is just a soft cotton rope knotted one. It's not very fancy. We actually made this ourselves. And it slips around his neck and then now through the reins. And then it's attached on the girth. So we're going to use this martingale not to force a headset. It's just going to help him stay round and keep Luann from having to put so much pressure on her hands and stay out of his mouth. You can see now that she's on him that he can have a very natural, he can put his head up and look around. That's not a problem. We're not holding a dressage type roundness right now. We're just going to have that help when she takes up the reins. It's just going to give her a little more help in trying to hold a roundness for this horse. So right now she's going to transition, and we're going to use the martingale and just sort of see how he does. If he can keep his top line a little rounded and just stay in position. I think this should help him stay in a little more rounded position as he transitions. Have that little crest sort of keep him underneath himself a little more, where she doesn't have to pull so much, and it's a little more self-correcting than the trainer correcting. All right, and so he worked pretty nice. He had a nice collected stop. So Luann's going to get off, and we're just going to take the martingale off of him and just sort of look at the difference of the way Blue wants to hold himself. And while she's doing that, I'm going to come in and take a close-up here of the keepers. Make sure when you're using a martingale that you've got these keepers so those rings don't slide up into the bridle. And we are just using a very simple Tom Thumb on him, and it's got a real thick mouthpiece. So it's a very, very first level mild bit. So we're going to go off and sort of do the same thing and see if that martingale helped him or not. Sort of keep himself together. There you go. You can see his transition was a little more difficult for him, and he's not staying rounded on top. And it's really harder for her to teach him with just her hands and reins to stay rounded and soft instead of get hollow backed. And again, we're not trying to hold some kind of vertical position. We just want a nice self-carriage with his legs underneath him, pushing from the hind end forward with a little bit of roundness to that top line and in the bit. And I think today we really feel that this martingale will help him learn that. And so I want to stress again, it's not a training aid that's going to hold him in place and keep him from moving. It's a training aid that is, as I just said, an aid. It should just help him understand and move and stay nice and soft. This is Mountaintop Minutes. We'll see you next week.